All right, so I want to talk about the latest news. Okay, so this Boston attack and also the plant that blew up in Texas, the fertilizer plant. I'm taking a break from programming. I've been programming a lot. I found out oh, well, never mind. But I've been thinking about this stuff, of course, a lot. I think probably a lot of us have been. I do get wrapped up in it. I don't consider it like getting wrapped up in a royal wedding or something. I think it's of legitimate interest. Last night around 8 to 9 o'clock my time, they started this manhunt, 2 or 3 in the morning, Boston. We started to hear about this. They were going, we don't know if it's related. Guys are running away in a truck, throwing away bombs at the police. Could be just coincidence. But they burned themselves with their previous. Anyway, that's not why I'm making this video. Okay, so we're having this terrorism thing, and then this plant blows up. So I left a comment in a video on the fertilizer plant blowing up. I was pissed at the time, and I said something to the like capitalists that won't follow safety regulations are terrorists. Because see, I'm a materialist, so I count bodies and go when I'm deciding what's more important. And this word terrorism, yeah, so somebody reacted to that. It's like, well, what about socialists? I'm like, them too. Fuck them too. Anybody that takes their own power and money and or either or. Now, it's not really terrorism, but then the word terrorism is kind of totally a bullshit term. I mean, one guy goes and shoots up a theater, that's not terrorism. Another guy goes and does it, blows up a federal building, that is terrorism, where he's foreign or he's not. And terrorism laws themselves, as Alan Dershowitz was pointing out, you know, there's specific things, and it has to be supposedly, basically it has to be politically motivated. That's not what we all think of as terrorism. But the word terrorism is kind of bullshit out of the gate, because terror. And I'm not saying, oh, you can't fight terrorism. I mean, it's just like, we should be terrified that our fertilizer plants are blowing up, killing more people. The negligence of that, more people died than die from people that are misanthropic and want to kill us. Those people are trying to kill us, and they don't do as good as some rich guy that just, by saving a few bucks that go into his bank account instead of safety inspections, instead of keeping the stuff separated, instead of whatever it takes, you know, he's richer by the amount. It's an accident, this right-winger tells me. That's an accident. This is terrorism. Well, actually, this turns out to be a domestic American, which starts, there's no international aspect, hasn't been proved a political aspect. Now, mind you, I'm fine with it being called terrorism. I've been calling it terrorism. I think it is terrorism. And frankly, I wouldn't actually call the plant blowing up terrorism. But it is misanthropic death. And it's just out of greed. I mean, I see terrorism as having there's a lot of things that get called that under the one. This one in Boston, we don't know yet. But, you know, take the Colorado theater shooting. You know, it's psychological problems. Right? Whatever else seems to be the reason, we can go, well, they're a little bit out of it. What they think the reason is not the actual reason. I wouldn't mind public acts of random disaster being called terrorism, but it does not like it lends some consistency to the language. And in the end, I don't care what it's called. I'm going to add up the dead bodies, for example. Now, even the Young Turks, they're like, well, we don't know that it was negligence, this Texas explosion. Yeah, we do. It is by definition negligence. Somebody was negligent. Because think of it this way. If you say, hey, fertilizer plant like that's gonna blow up every once in a while. It's just the odds. Well, then you can't keep that much fertilizer together in one place. Or if you do, you can't keep it in the middle of a community with old folks' homes and freeways and stuff right next to it. And frankly, that's not true. Of course you can keep that much together. You just have to be safe. You're making money off of it. The only reason not to spend that money on the safety is to put it in your bank account. And frankly, if you're concerned about your bank account, you have a reason to put it in there because you're making money off of it. Now, if being sufficiently safe is too expensive and you wouldn't make a profit, well, first of all, remember when companies break even, that means they're paying all their employees. But anyway, let's say you couldn't even break even. Then you can't be in business. People like that are underselling the people that are being safe, who have to compete at a disadvantage by selling fertilizer to people because they're saying, well, we have to keep our plants safe. Well, the people buying the fertilizer are like, I just want some fertilizer. What's it to me if your plant blows up? I'd like it cheaper, sure. You're willing to let your plant blow up, I'll buy you the cheaper stuff. You guys need to look at game theory to figure out why. That's just for sure going to happen. You can, over the long haul, ethics and stuff, it has an effect. But so do inevitable things like I'm buying 3 bags of fertilizer. It's not unsafe for me to buy 3 bags of cheap fertilizer just because you're going to let your plant blow up. I don't even want to have to become an expert in your safety practices. I want to go to the store and be able to shop for quality and price. So I was thinking maybe it should be called errorism. Error. When people make errors that just happen to be personally profitable to them year after year until the shit hits the fan. And then who pays for the cleanup? Who picks up the tab? The families of the dead victims, the public works that have to be rebuilt, the dead firefighters. Firefighters have to be paid hazard pay because of this kind of thing. Well, what about the workers at that factory? I am disgusted by people that would go and kill strangers just trying to do something positive about a healthy activity. Whatever else you want to say about it, about our culture, that is. It's a bunch of people going, hey, let's run really long, and that's positive. That's disgusting. It's also disgusting, and that's misanthropic. And it's also disgusting that people would be like, well, I don't want to kill people, but I don't care either, and my bank account gets bigger. On the other hand, I have been following this. Like I said, it started last night. It was like things kept happening. I'm really glad they caught him because, this culture right now could probably not handle not knowing who it is. We're already at each other's throats. It's something that's going to have to be decomposed, I think. We're going to face a lot of this. I face with some conservative relatives that when I talked about terrorism as a crime, which obviously it's criminal, they thought I was trying to say it's no big deal, like crime's no big deal. I didn't get this, but what they're really concerned about is legal rights. They did not read the Miranda rights to this dude because they have some sort of exception. Not necessarily a good idea. If the lawyers get away with saying this isn't federal because it's not really terrorism because it's domestic, and they can't prove a political connection, let's say for this kid, even if his older brother had one, then it would have been better for them to read the Miranda rights. Anyway, that'll be interesting how that unfolds. We'll still have all of this American tension about it. But I really wanted them to catch these people. I didn't want it to be some long thing. It all happened in Boston with a lot of people around, a lot of witnesses. So that's also good because we're such a Alex Jones nation, almost. I hate to say that and grant him that, but I'm not personally saying Alex Jones, but you know what I'm saying. It's just like the conspiracy theories start even before the things they're about, it almost seems like. But I've been interested to see these suspects and to be caught and find out things about them as it became available. I want to know who owned that plant. I want to know his name. I want to know. I would like to see, if you can't get an interview of anybody that worked there, I'd like to see an interview with the last government official that inspected that plant. What does he know about it? Just like we're hearing from people that knew these bombers from 6 years ago. Well, if it was 6 years ago the last inspector went there, what's he say? I want to hear him go, well, it was very safe at the time, or, well, I cited them for a violation. I want to hear that. Nobody else is. I think people are interested in that. I think it's the press, and we're pressed, pun intended, I guess, to be all worried, give up all kinds of conveniences and even freedoms just to get on an airplane from one place to the other. Meanwhile, more people are dying because things are blowing up, and that's a safety that I wouldn't have to give up conveniences and freedoms for. And the people who work there wouldn't have to give them up. The conditions would get better. How about spending money on that kind of safety? And I will put it in an inflammatory way, capitalism, terrorism, because you're supposed to figure this out. The insurance companies are supposed to be a market force to make you, they won't insure you unless you're safe or something. And none of that's happening. All right, I don't care about your principles and what you call things. I'm going to count the dead bodies. None of this shit is acceptable.